K。Just a call man， 叫我 BK， 外号一鸣真实的形式根本就无所谓。I'm just a hater， 玩的是押韵跟嘴巴，所以别在意我玩的是商业还是。世界的瑞日坚持，这是 hiphop 在旋律，不再好吉他，管你买些感觉，唱一句烟圈的变化。就像悟空一往西天的决心毫无变化，就像神农尝百草死不了干，这里所有只一个尴尬。I'm always on the way， 管他谁是和谁非，非的是文字跟韵脚来验证 ，no pay no gain。别再写那些假学府的歌词，让人家防卫。我的本世界里开 ，come on， 来记得请你退。有太多陷阱，陷阱。商业的陷阱，陷阱，hiphop 的陷阱，陷阱，生活就是最大的陷阱。有太多陷阱，陷阱，商业的陷阱，陷阱，hiphop 的陷阱，陷阱。
Hello. Welcome to the Unsettling Truths Filmmaker Q&A. My name is Selena. I am the festival director for the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight, and I want to thank the filmmakers for coming in so late, 11 p.m. on the East Coast, for those who are tuning in from elsewhere. But we did schedule it this late because today is Friday the 13th. So happy Friday the 13th to everyone. So can we just get a really quick round of names, roles, films? We can start with Gayatri.
I'm Gayatri Ball. I am the writer, director, producer, actor in Tina. And yeah. I guess we can move on to the next person.
Okay. Are we next?
Well, I'm Josephine Chang, and I'm one of the producers and the lead actress of Make-A-Wish.
I'm Edward Hong. I'm also one of the producers and lead actors for Make-A-Wish.
I guess I'm next. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick Nan. I am the director, writer, editor, and VFX artist for Stasis.
Hi, I'm Ritendra. I'm the writer and director of Dark Circle.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amin. I'm writer, director, and producer for Blue Eyed.
Hi, I'm Devin Hawk. I'm the writer and director of The Mark.
Hi, I'm Kana Hatakeyama, and I play Kanako in The Mark.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for tuning in, and especially Amin, who's coming in from Iran right now. What time is it over there?
It's around 7:30 a.m. over here, so very different from your time, but still Friday the 13th.
Great. Well, I'm glad, but also, wow, that's really early. So thank you for waking up to join us today.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so this shorts program is, I named it Unsettling Truths, because while I was watching every one of these shorts, I was like, ooh, wow, like I feel really like uncomfortable or like uncomfy in some way. And in a good way, obviously, which is, you know, it was obviously meant to be the emotion that y'all were trying to get across, or I hope it was. But can y'all talk a little bit about like your films, how you found the stories, and why you chose the genre that you chose, whether that be horror, sci-fi, or however you define your short?
I can go first. Wait, are we talking to someone? Or I'm so tired. I have no idea. Wait. Is this open? Like, does it, whoever speaks?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
please. Yeah, it's the question to everyone.
I'm sleep training my child right now as we speak, so he's like screaming in the other room. So it's literally like, so I wrote Tina in 2017, actually. I was very unsettled by the election and the collective conscious. It was really getting to me. And I didn't quite understand what I was feeling at that time because I was never really political. I didn't really believe in politics before I grew up in a house that like it was just not something we talked about, and I didn't really understand how it impacted me directly. I just was like, oh, I'm an artist. I just like doing my thing and like stay, you know, not really. I dance, you know, but in 2017, all of a sudden it all felt very unsettling, which is why I really loved your title, because Tina to me is about like facing sort of like the darkness within you that actually may also be your light. And so I sort of wrote it just in a cathartic way so I could like deal with what I was feeling. And so it turned out to be the genre that it is, which it tends to fall into all, like horror, experimental, thriller. It depends on who watches it. So yeah. So that's me.
Do we just go?
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
however y'all would like to answer.
So for our Make-A-Wish, it was a script that I read from our friend, the writer Ivan Sang, I don't know how long ago now it is, a few years, I guess. And I wanted a better demo reel footage for myself as an actress. So I was like, hey, can I use this to boost my self-vanity? And he is like, yeah, of course. So we were like, so, you know, Edward and I were on board from the very beginning, and we're like, we're just going to shoot it at home. It'll be really easy on our cameras, whatever. But then Edward reached out to Din Tai, our director, and it blew into this whole production. We had a crew, we had a budget, and we're just like, oh my God, this is no longer just demo reel. That was a cat. Demo reel footage. Oh no. Our demo reel footage, yes. And it is now this beautiful thing, I hope. Okay.
I'll be professional. Yes. So genre. Wait, what? What are we talking about? Okay, so
the other question was the genre.
Yes. So when we first made this, we thought it was a comedy. Yes, a dark comedy of sorts. And when we started submitting to film festivals, one of the earlier ones told us that we submitted to the wrong category. This is a horror film, it's a comedy, but it's more horror than you think it is. And we're like, okay. And the next thing we know, Horror Film Festival is like, yeah, it's a great horror film. And I'm like, cool.
And it's great, but also terrible because I hate horror stuff. And so I'm just sitting here like dying, and you know, your asshole's like puckering all the time because you're like, oh God, everything's terrible. But yeah.
Yeah.
I, by the way, hate horror stuff too. Like it freaks me out. And so it's crazy that, yeah.
But also like, what is genre? Like, I feel like, and that's sort of why I personally like that we don't really have people, especially shorts, like submit to specific genres. Like, and even on the back end when we're watching films, like programmers will constantly be putting in like multiple genres for films because we're like, this could be thriller, this could be horror, this could also be comedy, like this could be a multitude of things. So like, why box ourselves into one genre? I think like Make-A-Wish especially is absolutely a comedy. Like when you first watch it, you're like, what is happening? And this is like kind of ridiculous. Like, who is this woman? And what is like truly like what is the relationship, and like how did this how do we get here? You know? So yeah, I would say what is genre, and comedy fits to me. So yeah.
Yay.
I mean, that's why this whole short block was supposed to be like our horror shorts block. But I would say that, not to put you on the spot, Patrick, but I would say that Patrick's film was submitted as like a sci-fi, but it still felt that very dystopian kind of like genre to me. So, Patrick, do you want to go next?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I definitely gotta say, like, Make-A-Wish definitely had me for like a few laughs. But then again, some people tell me that I have a very dark sense of humor. But for my film, well, it ended up being my undergraduate thesis project, and the way I came up with the story was I studied abroad in Japan in spring 2019, and my friends basically told me about their legal system of this really old logic of how people are guilty until proven innocent through some friends. And by the time my senior year started, after my study abroad, I watched Ava DuVery's When They See Us about the American legal system on the Central Park 5. And the moment everything came together was when I went to my advisor. I told her I have no idea what I'm going to make for this thesis. And she basically told me to look at some of my previous works for inspiration. And because most of what I made was very sci-fi inspired and I was just starting to learn some VFX, I just connected everything together and I said, I'm going to make this sci-fi romance-y thriller short, and it's about how police AI interrogates innocent people for crimes they never done. And just like that, she was like, that sounds interesting. Oh, yeah. And I was like, I'm making this.
It definitely feels timely, like similar to Gayatry's film. Like it feels, again, like that unsettling, like especially now that we're in 2020 having like these questions and conversations around policing and the police state. It definitely, again, that unsettling dystopia that you portray in your film or that you depict in your film. For me, I was like, we could get there eventually, you know, like this could be, depending on what timeline we decide to go on, you know, that could be a timeline that we end up living in. So it was very, very unsettling to me. So really, really good job, Patrick, especially as a student film.
Thank you. Yeah, and it was made well before the pandemic started. And when I looked at my film again, I was like, this is very vibing with what's currently going on in the US. I'm like, ooh, creepy.
Yeah. Rajendra, would you like to go?
Sure. So Dark Circle was conceived with the mindset of starting a short film and actually getting it done. So I'm a very pragmatic professional and a part-time filmmaker. So my whole approach is, okay, what do I have access to? Location, actors. So we have a very vibrant South Asian theater community here in San Francisco Bay Area. So I have access to a ton of actors. And then we got access to some houses where these theater actors would just give their houses for shoot for days. And so we just, okay, I visited one of the houses and I was like, okay, what story can I tell with this house? And so like my entire storytelling was anchored on the locations I had access to. So I wrote it, and it actually literally was made thrice because I wrote something, we shot something else, and then eventually when we edited, we tweaked the story a little bit because it wasn't coming across the way we intended for it to. The ending could have gone anywhere given the footage we had. We had a ton of high quality, like ProRes footage where we could grade them in different ways to lead to different kinds of moods. But so that's how the story came about, and we shot it. And editing was much longer than anticipated because I just wasn't happy with the initial cut, and then we iterated, and it turned out to be pretty acceptable, I would say.
That's actually really interesting that you said you had to shoot it 3 times, because if anyone's watched the film, like there's this kind of like rule of threes that gets kind of looked at in the film, and those 3 interlocking circles, and yeah, I think that's super cool, and super coincidental if it is a coincidence. We don't know, but that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
It's your turn.
Okay, should I go next? Okay.
Yeah.
So my all right. Well, first of all, my film, same as Patrick's, ended up being my undergraduate thesis in the end. But my whole idea was basically I was doing assistant work for many years, and then I thought I basically have to make a film after a while. And I thought about different short stories that I've read and the things that I liked to be in a movie. And basically, I talked with some of my professors and stuff. And in the end, I came to the conclusion that the short films are basically where you can do anything you want. As long as they're short and they're, self-financed, you can basically do whatever you want and get away with it. Even if they're not good, you can just be like, hey, well, I paid for it, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And so I thought of this short film, this short story that I'd read at school in like middle school when I was like 12, 13, which was from Octavio Paz, that the film is based on. And I remember that having like an impact on me at that age. And I would revisit it maybe every like 3 or 4 years and just read it one more time. I actually like have the paper that was assigned to us back in the day, like many years ago when they gave it to us. So I still go back and read the original paper that I got at school. And it was just refreshing to me. Every like 3 years, it would change what it means to me. So that basically became my idea. Like I thought this would be a good starting point for a film, and then everything was basically just trying to get that made after that. And the genre thing again, same as Josephine and Edward. I really didn't plan on it being like this, like a thriller or horror or whatever. I just knew that because of the story, it had to have like an eerie feeling to it. But after it was done, like all the producers and distributors and stuff, they said it's definitely a horror. You should like try to fit it in horror categories everywhere. So that's the story of that one.
So the Mark was basically conceived around the time that my wife and I were expecting our first child, and I was really freaking out. And so this movie basically allowed me to process my emotions through the medium of cinema. I mean, it was a beautiful time, and there was a lot of joy, but there was also a lot of worry and anxiety, and so I just squeezed all that into the short film. And the reason the genre was a thriller or horror came about because I've sort of made a conscious choice to start working in that genre. The last movie I made was a feature film adaptation of a Shakespeare play, Julius Caesar, and I set it in a post-apocalyptic world, and it was very futuristic and dark and dystopian. And I was really proud of it. I had a meeting with someone at the Weinstein Company to discuss financing for finishing funds, and the guy basically told me no one cares about Shakespeare, especially if there's nobody famous in it. And he started asking me like, what types of movies am I into? And I was saying sci-fi and horror. And he said, well, you should make one of those because people aren't going to hire you to do the next studio project or work on this TV show if the only example you have is some art piece. It's like, so you start making the movies that you want to make and show people that's what you do. So after that conversation, I finished my film and I was like, screw you. But I still, his advice stuck in my head. And I was like, let me just start working on the projects that I really want to do and show that that's what my brand is. Yeah. And I knew I had this amazing actress, Kana, who would be perfect for the lead role. And so I was like, I have all the elements that I need to make this great movie. That's how that happened.
I guess I'll just jump in to say that I haven't really liked watching horror because I get scared really easily and paranoid if I'm alone. But I was really excited when Devin reached out because I've always wanted to act in a horror film. And also I really liked that with the Mark that there was like the psychology, the horror element was a reflection of an exploration of like the character's psychology, which I think is the use of horror that I personally like best. So it was very fun to get to do it, but then also to get to see it afterwards with all the effects. It's very cool.
Cool. Well, it looks like we have an audience question about the mark specifically. Tyler, would you like to pull that up? So the mark was so amazing, I kept asking myself if the baby ever existed at all. Ooh. So for those who have watched it, or who haven't watched it, I'm sorry. I hope that this isn't too much of a spoiler.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I'll try not to spoil it as I answer the question. But I think the way we ended it, you can have several different interpretations, and I think that's sort of intentional. I have my interpretation as the writer. I've sort of had to create a backstory for the character. But a lot of people walk away with different opinions, and when I hear them, I'm like, oh, that's interesting too. Like, so I don't want to say what the right answer is, but my interpretation is that there was a baby that she lost, probably very tragically, and I also sprinkled in some other information that there was a husband who's not in the picture. Maybe he was lost as well, and so she's dealing with those losses, and they manifest the way they do in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally a spoiler, but oh well.
Well, it's your interpretation, right? Like,
yeah.
Although arguably, I guess like some people would say that the director's interpretation or the writer's interpretation is the correct one. But again, same thing with genre. Like, could really argue anything. So, you know. But thank you for answering that. I for one was like, the baby does not exist. But then also, does the lady exist? Or is she also sort of a figment of her imagination? Yeah, there was a lot of questions after all of your films, actually. I feel like I was very, again, very unsettled. Especially, I would say, like, Make-A-Wish especially. Like, I think of all of the films in this block sort of has the most, like the horror tropey stuff going on. Like, obviously it's got that slasher type feeling to it, but again, the comedy thing does also come in to play. So can Josephine and Edward, do you want to talk a little bit about like what it was like as people who might not be like horror people? Like, what was it like to play that?
Well, it was, like I said before, since it was for a demo reel footage, with the script that we have, we were like, hey, this is a great showcase of playing stuff that we're not normally stereotyped into playing, because I guess, you know, as an Asian female or Asian male, they'll be like, you have to play the nerdy person or the best friend and all these like stupid things where you're just like, there's more to us than just being the nerd with the highlight in my hair or something. So this one was like, this is great. I could be that crazy ass person who also has a side of humanity, you know, because I care about justice. And just, yes, that's why I guess we didn't really see it as horror. It was just more of a dark comedy thriller type thing and just going crazy with it, I guess.
Yeah, I would follow what Josephine's saying. A lot of things I would experience, or if I had opportunities in the acting world, is that, like Josephine said, the stereotypes. For me, especially with Asian men, it's like very droll or nerdy, or just kind of like one note. Once in a while, there is a character with depth to it, but when this came around and we were producing and we were making this work, it was fun to just go nuts. Like, I love playing really fucked up characters, and so to work with my partner, and we you know, benefiting each other in our fucked upness, that was definitely a dream come true to do so.
Yes, we saw ourselves in the script and we're like, ooh, this will be fun, but it's not real, so it's fine. And also it was like a testament of like, can we survive working together? I guess
we're still here.
So far it's good.
Here
Didn't really kill anyone on set, right?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Well, sort of to like the point of like Asian stereotyping, and I don't want to ask everyone like, what are your Asian influences in your films? Because that's like not what we're here for. But I'm actually really curious about Gayatri's like influence as a dancer. and sort of like why did you choose like this as part, like why did you choose dance to be a part of your film?
Well, I'm a dancer, and so I've been dancing since I was, I think, well, I was 6, which is kind of late, but I started dancing when I was 6, and I think I've always, and especially during those years, like 2017 and 18, when Tina was sort of was everything in my life, I felt haunted by dance. I felt like I this constantly, like I couldn't go a week without rehearsal. Like, it was almost like I just couldn't, like it wasn't allowed, and it was like this like dance demon, and at times in my life when I've not had time for dance, or when I've not been able to like be the dancer I want to be, it almost just chases me and haunts me. And I think a lot of people in my life always thought it was like a gift, They're like, oh, it's so amazing, you have this gift, oh, that's, at least you have dance. It's like an expression of yourself. And I don't think people understand. It's almost like I can't not dance. Like I have to dance like 3 to 4 times a week. And if I don't, it's just not good. And I think Tina sort of, was a manifestation of that feeling of just being haunted by it all the time as well. So I chose it because that is the dance form that I train in. It's like with the bells and everything. It's called Kathak, and that's my background as an Indian classical dancer.
So would you say that the main character is you, or is that like too deep?
No, it is totally me. Like everything. Like me opening that door, like it's like my brain. It's like inside my brain, basically. So when people were like, "Oh my God, it was really creepy," I was like, "Really? Like that's me all the time." Like,
you're like, I don't think so. That's my everyday life.
I was like, that can explain so much about me, but people, because it was just like I've always been scared. Like my parents in their house, like I would always just open the door and like I would see things like the dark, the shadows. It's like that's my brain, always almost. Now that I have a child, I just had a kid, like a baby 4 months ago, and so now I've been actively trying to like stay bright. I'm like happiness, joy.
I'm surprised that you don't like horror then, or if that.
I think I do like horror. I think it's very sensitive to it, so I like freak out, and then I can't like. I saw like oh my God, what's the one with the Exorcist when I was like 6 years old? Like my aunt showed it to me, and I would never forgotten it. Like it scarred me for life. So
maybe it has to do with the fact that you also started dancing at that age too. Maybe that's why there was.
It's all interconnected. It's like the Exorcist and then dance, and then it was just like that was it. Dance for life.
Oh, so it looks like we have another audience question. And this one's also about an ending. In The Dark Circle, does everyone actually die in the end, or the dead and the alive coexist? So I don't know if we, again, spoilers. I don't know if we want to spoil it, Rajendra. It's up to you how you want to answer that, but.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen the film. I think what I'll say is it actually leaves some of the questions unanswered. So if you watch the film, it's actually less of a horror film, more of a deeply sad story about a couple. So whether they're definitely like they are dead, but there are other characters in the film that it's not clear who else is dead or alive. So a little bit of spoiler, but not the whole thing. I think there's enough like very direct evidence in the film to suggest that the protagonist couple is dead, but there's not enough evidence. It's a short film, so by the narrative structure doesn't allow for full explanation, and I left it at that. In fact, the way I did it was, oh, it's 11 minutes already. Let's stop the film here because it's a short film. I'm not going to do any more explanation. And it actually turned out to be. We've shown this to our friends and family quite a bit. There's been lots and lots of questions. There've been about the ending. So, and I always answer in this very ambiguous manner, saying it's up to you. It's not important. It's not super important whether the other characters are alive or dead. I know it's good to feel warm and fuzzy to know exactly how it ends, but I think there's a deep point there about very unhappy lives of the protagonist couple that is pretty important and hardly ever never shown, like why they're unhappy, what are the moments of unhappiness and so on. So thanks for the question.
Thank you for answering.
Can I just say that was pretty brilliant because when you watch the movie, they seem like a happy couple. And then you get that information from that news clip, and you're like, "What?" It was like really well done because there's no sense that there's something wrong until it's revealed.
Right. I mean, it's the point of view, right? The other thing I had done there was at some points from the point of view of ghosts, real people might feel scary. So there's also that angle to it if you watch carefully. So it's all points of view. So that was also another point of the film.
Cool. Thank you for answering that. We are almost out of time, and I have so many more questions. I do want to ask Patrick and Amin a couple of questions. Actually, I mean, I'm going to ask you questions afterwards, after this ends. I have a lot of questions. But as sort of like, these being your student thesis films, like how did it feel as like your supposedly like first, is this your first festival run, both of you? Patrick? I mean, yeah. Like, so what is it like as filmmakers that are releasing their first films now, and especially sort of like in the age that is 2020? What is that like in the horror that is 2020? Either of you can go first.
Patrick, do you want to go first?
Oh, I was signaling you if you wanted to go first. Do you want to go first, or?
Okay, sure.
Patrick,
oh
my God.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah, go for it.
okay. Well, the thing is, my film actually did go through a bunch of festivals here in Iran, like local festivals. But first of all, my film was done maybe like a year ago, so it was like Patrick's. It was done before the pandemic and before 2020. And the thing is that I admire about most of the films in this category is that they were done in 2020. Like the thing is, the thing that I see, especially in Iran with short films, is the most difficult part is basically getting them off the ground and actually doing them in 2020 with the pandemic and with all the difficulties. So I basically didn't have a problem production-wise with 2020. The most problem would probably be because all of the festivals were either online or actually canceled. There was a lot of problem with actually distributing the film. And so I'm really thankful for it being actually in this festival, being an online festival, and for me being able to be in these meetings and stuff.
Thanks for waking up for us.
Yeah, man. Like I do share like a lot of similar points with Amin, and to add on that, I mean, yeah, like 2020 has been a pretty like roller coaster of emotions and such, with everything going on and such, and especially when you get the news that your short film has gone into a festival, it also kind of sucks that we can't actually go to the festival and like meet everyone in person. And while it's great to see everyone here, get like listening to everyone's stories about how like their thinking processes for their short films came to be, like it definitely does feel different to watch people's short film in like on your laptop versus being on the big screen and such. And I'm very glad that my short film got accepted into Philadelphia's as well, because some of my previous festivals that I got accepted to, it was only geo-locked in that certain area. So when I told everyone, it's like, hey, it's showing in this festival, people were like, yo, can we, like, where can we see it? Here's the link. Oh wait, you have to be in LA to watch it? What the heck? And like, but like, thankfully with this festival that's all internationally broadcastable, like people like across like in Asia have told me, he's like, yo, finally got a chance to see this. It looks great, man. And I'm like, yo, thanks. It's good to hear from you again.
That's super cool. That's super awesome to know that you have friends in Asia that have watched this shorts block. Yeah. And if they have, you know, any comments for other filmmakers, they're all here. Well, so we're like definitely over time now, and it's super late, so I want to keep you all. But if you could sort of let us know like what's next for you and how we can follow your work. That's our last question. Gayatri, I think you are muted.
I'm talking. Oh, so what's next for me? We shot a YouTube, like an improv series last year in YouTube Studios, which I've been editing all year, and we are releasing that next month across all platforms, which is very exciting. And this is me and like 3 other girls, and it's like 20 episodes and 2 minutes each. It's like 40 minutes of content. It's been like a monster to edit while I've been pregnant and with the newborn. And so please follow me on Instagram at Guy3Vol. I mean, I guess you have to look at my name and you'll see how you spell it. And yeah, please support if you think it's cool. And, you know, it's just a show about 4 women in a diner. On a diner set. We like to say diner set because we really didn't put any production quality into the actual thing, and it was all about content. But it's kind of fun. I'm glad to be able to release something during the pandemic. Yeah.
Our Make-A-Wish stuff, I guess. Our next, I don't know. We just want to survive the pandemic. See if we don't ever get COVID in America. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of projects we have in mind and that we've like collaborated with other people. It's just a question of when it comes out, or if we ever do it. Because, you know, a lot of people will say we want to do all these things, but do we actually do it? Who knows? But in terms of our social media,
you can just find us at Make-A-Wish Film. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And then you'll find all our social media handles, Josephine social handle, my social handle, Din's. It's all there. Just
everyone's tagged.
Oh yeah, we can write in the comments section.
Oh, we're writing in the comments.
Patrick?
Yeah, I'm writing it, finding my Instagram handle right now.
Pretender, you want to go? What's next?
Sure. So I wrote 4 short films in the last 3 months, and I'm shooting of. I mean, again, like my style is like constrained shooting, so I'm trying to find innovative ways to shoot during the pandemic, safe ways to do it. Creative, like 9 feet distance with low depth of field lenses to sort of isolate, keep actors separate from each other but facing each other. Like, I'm just trying to innovate here. How do you do this? Because this is going to stay for a while. I don't want to stop making films, writing. There's one Alice Memorial Park. Again, like I'm shying away from pure horror, more around psychological. Emotional stories, working on them. We'll share my Instagram handle for our production house. You can follow along if you want.
Like, sorry for the skip. If I was like trying to find my Instagram handle, I'm like, god dang. Like, I guess what's next for me in my short film? I mean, I am currently helping a YouTube channel out right now. It's called The Command Zone, and I'm working as a VFX assistant, and we have another episode of our show coming out next Wednesday. And ever since I was on that job, I was looking at my own VFX in my short film, and I was like, I could probably improve on this a bit. And so I'm not sure where I'll bring my short film next. I might have plans to release it on YouTube later this next year, perhaps, but I have no idea still.
Who's next?
For me, in terms of filmmaking, I'm trying to work a little on writing because this film was basically based on a short film. I'm trying to come up with ideas myself a little bit. I've tried writing a few films. They've all gotten to a point where I thought I have to start another one. So I'm basically working like on 2 or 3 short scripts right now, and hopefully they'll be made maybe in a few months, maybe like 4 or 5 months. And I'm basically not getting out of, but I'm not really planning on making like horror films per se. So they probably might be in more like a comedy theme or something.
I have a feature film in development that I co-wrote with Keith Joseph Atkins, who's a pretty acclaimed television writer. He wrote P-Valley and this Netflix series, The Outer Banks. And that has producers attached, and they're just kind of like shopping it right now. But you know how that goes. Who knows when it actually get greenlit. I finished the feature script in the course of this pandemic. Well, finished. It's in early draft phase, so I'm still working on that. And I do have another short film that I want to shoot. That's probably the thing that I'll be able to make myself at some point, but I just don't know when. With the pandemic and everything, and this isn't the kind of thing that I could just do on the fly. It requires a lot of resources, so I'm just kind of biding my time, working on my writing. I'm also an actor, and I have boxing came back, and I'm the narrator of a couple of boxing shows on Fox and Fox Sports, PBC Countdown and PBC Fight Camp, and those are rolling out because Errol Spence Jr. has a big fight coming up. And I just booked a Disney documentary about the hidden flooded tombs of the Nile. I started working on that on Monday, voicing that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. You can follow me on Instagram. It's my name. I think they're going to put my handle in the chat.
Hi. I actually have a short that I made that I wrote and directed that I also acted in. Very, very different from the Mark. I wish I submitted to Philly Asian Film Festival, but I was sick with COVID in the spring and I could not. I was not in the state to do that. But this one is screening maybe next year. But this film's called Fitness, or a Story About Sweat. It's a super weird comedy. If anyone's in North Carolina, it's screening at an outdoor theater as part of Solar Film Festival next Friday. And I'm auditioning. Hopefully, I don't know, with COVID cases rising, we'll see what happens to production, but hopefully that'll be happening. And I'm also working on rewriting a feature, so we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for coming through so late at night. I'm so sorry. I saw Gayatri yawn like once, and then I was like, oh man, I'm tired too. For good reason though, Gayatri. You have a baby. I have no baby. This is my baby. So totally understandable. It's quite late. But thank you all so much for joining us. Please, if you haven't watched the Unsettling Truths Shorts program, please do, which is on our website at paaff.org. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of our festival. Bye, y'all.
You say this kill, black and brown, and when will you talk about class in this story? The rest is allegory. Come together, unionize, see it through each other's eyes. No need to fight over supplies while workers save lives. They need protection too. What we gonna do? Organize our way through. And for those behind bars, we must fight hard. Global pandemic, endemic, systemic. No equality, no quality of life, of life.